Oh, here's another one-on-one discussion. I appreciate your listening because I want to talk to you today about something that I've heard a lot of men complain about, and that is they were damaged by the church or religion, and they've had a hard time dealing with that. Um, if that fits for you, let's talk about that for a minute and what that might mean. Yeah, unfortunately, the church has done a lot of damage to people over the years. Uh, and you can think yourself about people who've been harmed by some of the teachings of the church, not a particular church, but the church universal, as we say. People's ideas about religion. Sometimes others want to force their ideas on you. That can be hurtful. Sometimes you're taught things in Sunday school that turn out not to be accurate as your life evolves. Sometimes the God that you were talking about in Sunday school doesn't serve you very well as an adult, so you feel betrayed or let down. You know, one of the trends that really worries me these days is the decrease in attendance at worship services at church or synagogue. I mean, it's an epidemic. It's gone down 20% over the last 2 decades, and if at that rate, eventually we'll be a non-church going country and a world for that matter. So what's the cause of that? I mean, is everybody feeling hurt and damaged by the church and therefore deciding to stay home on Sunday morning, go to the lake or go out in the woods or commune with nature, something different than going to church because it's more meaningful for them? And there's also the real possibility that maybe we're blaming things on the church that really is not the church's fault. Maybe one particular pastor or Sunday school teacher or whatever it happens to be taught us some things that didn't work out, so we now want to hold everybody accountable to that same standard. And maybe that's not the case. But here's some things I want you to think about. I believe that most of us who have a problem in thinking that the church or religion has harmed us, we owe it to ourselves to figure that thing out. And part of figuring that out is to think about our concept of God or higher power or whatever you want to say, and how well is that serving us? And what I mean by that is if you're thinking about God as only someone who keeps score and punishes you when you do wrong, or is like a puppeteer who's controlling every little thing in life, or as a bearded guy up in the sky who's looking down and correcting your behavior, or whatever. Those are not very helpful views of God. I've had to go through my own search on this, and I would encourage you to do that. If let me put it to you this way. Do you believe that your religion is the only one that is accurate and the only one that's real? Do you believe that religions from people across the world are not acceptable? You see, I've got this notion that any God that I would want to believe in has got to be big enough to accept all of those ideas as part of the accuracy of what God is all about. And, you know, I talk to atheists and they say they don't believe in God. And I say, well, tell me about this God you don't believe in. And they'll tell me this, that, and the other about God, that the reason they don't believe in God. And I say, I don't believe in that God either, because I left that definition of God a long time ago when I decided that I had been sold a different bill of goods about God, and that maybe God was larger than that. Maybe God is capable of being more than just somebody who's keeping score and is going to check the book when I get to heaven to see if I did all the things right. I just somehow can't buy that. And if I believe in that, if I believe that that's all that God is capable of, then that's going to damage me and hurt me and disappoint me, because that God leaves a lot to be desired. He causes a lot of bad things to happen to good people, and he favors somebody over another, and he causes your child to run out in front of a car and get hurt, but not mine. I mean, I just can't buy all of that. So think about what your view of God is, and I would really strongly, I mean strongly, encourage you to sit down with a minister and talk about this. Someone, not just someone who's got a pretty narrow view of Christianity, but or of religion generally, but someone who has studied this and who has a broader view of it. Somebody even who's looked at world religions and what the similarities are between Judaism and Christianity, for example, and Buddhism or whatever else. There's a lot that you don't know. There's a lot that I don't know. There's a lot to be understood. I think it was Whitehead who wrote a book called The Christian Agnostic, and he says, there's a lot I don't understand. There's a lot I can't believe in, and it's in the Bible, and so I just have to put that stuff in a drawer and let it be and say, I'm going to work on that and study that some more. But for right now, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to keep my faith and belief as it is, and maybe one day I'll get the answer to that. So taking a view of religion and church as being larger than that, and maybe something that we can learn from and profit from and share our views with each other. Here's what I do believe. I believe that any religion worth its salt is going to be based on helping our fellow man. And if your religion is not based on that, if you believe that your religion is a prosperity religion, for example, and destined to help you out but not somebody else, I think you need to re-examine that and think about how accurate that might be. Well, those are big questions. I told you they would be, and this is another one of these one-on-one discussions that I enjoy having, but I wish I had answers for you. I don't, but I do have questions, and I hope that you'll pursue those questions. I hope maybe that I've raised some questions for you, and maybe cause you to look at some things in a little deeper way so that you can satisfy yourself about some of those things. My mom was a very religious person, and she went to her grave believing certain things about her faith. And if you look at her Bible, she had notes of every sermon she'd heard and every scripture and all. And she believed literally the scripture as it was written. I never challenged her on that because that worked for her. But, we have to each one have our own understanding of what that means and how we interpret that in our lives. And I would encourage you to do that. There's some more information about this on the website, meninbalance.org. The radio station is there too, meninbalance.org/radio 24/7. It's got all sorts of good examples of just this sort of thing. I would encourage you to look at that and learn from it and continue your study. I'm Jerry Hancock for One-on-One and for meninbalance.org. Thanks for joining us.